Welcome to another episode of Protect the Paint. I am Brian McCormick alongside Pat Burns. Pat, beautiful Tuesday, quiet NBA summer.
Yeah, it's a quiet time for the NBA, Summer League, outside of Summer League, but it's getting hot here in New York. So you might think it's beautiful. I think it's a little too hot, but
Nah, that's a good point. It's almost 90 and rainy every day here in Philly. So I'm
ooh,
getting a little sick of that. But I mean, hey, we're midway through summer essentially. I count, summer ending, late August, early September. So we're
yeah.
almost there. Football season's here, so we'll see what happens, when that time comes, September. But let's dive into it real quick, dude. I know there hasn't been a ton that has gone on, since our last episode, but we still have some stuff to talk about here, some things to laugh at as well, too. Like, can we just talk about really quick? Like, everyone was calling Wemby a bust for 48 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just enjoyed that, right? I jokingly said like, "Oh, he is a bust," right? But obviously, no, he's not. He's 19 years old, and first time he's ever played in the NBA rules and all that, right? And he just went through the whirlwind of the draft and all that, and uh, for literally his first American game, like he played fine. So um, yeah, I mean that's gonna happen, and on the internet, everyone overreacts and argues. So
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he could be a bust, dude. And if San Antonio is smart, they should just trade him to the Sixers, rebuild, and move on, right? Because he sucked for one game. No, but he came back in that second game really strong too. I was watching some of those highlights. He started off slow in the first quarter, but then he had these spurts, these 4, 5, 6 minute spurts where he would just dominate, and you would see, a little preview, a little glimpse of what he's going to be. Yeah, I can't remember a more exciting prospect that came out since probably Kevin Durant or LeBron James, but it also sucks they already shut him down for the summer league already.
yeah, I mean we're gonna have to wait a little longer, but it's not the wrong decision. I would do the same thing. Now that you see how that he figured it out, shut him down without a doubt. I mean, the one play that was exciting to me is when he did like the crossover step back and he hit like a contested. If it wasn't a three, it was close to a three. Like that reminded me of Kevin Durant, right? So if he can hit those consistently, like uh, and any 7-3 blocking all those shots, he's yeah, I don't know, like a modern day Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or something.
Yeah, I think he could average 20 and 10 this season as a rookie. I think he's a lock for the rookie of the year as well too. And the odds reflect that. So I'm excited to see what happens there. And then, as we spoke about last episode too, like Tyler Hero might be his teammate by this time next week, or maybe this, next month, whatever, whenever that straight goes down. So speaking of
and
that,
then
let's
and then also potentially next year LeBron and Bronny, as we talked about,
that would be absolutely insane. Could you
with Greg
imagine?
Popovich now being there for 5 years, right? So
I saw that he got paid what, like 82 million, I think was the number, 84. So
yeah, and then LeBron tweeted at him, said like, "Oh, the next wine dinner is on you. Congratulations." So they're already
insanity. I
set. They're
mean,
already setting the stage for him playing there, and with Bronny. So
yeah, I think you were
just
kind of
reminding
wondering
everyone I
for
said that, like, in case it happens.
you were wondering for like a few months there, like, is Popovich going to retire after the season? And
Uh,
then they draft Wemby, and you're like, all right, like he's probably going to put in at least 3 more years, and then now it's 5 at least, right? So at least that's what it is, what it seems. And I read that, if he does decide to quit, that he gets paid all that money. There's some sort of clause in there. I could be wrong, but that's what I was reading. So he doesn't finish out the entire contract. So I thought that was a little strange.
yeah, I mean, he probably had all the leverage in the world, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case, right? They probably wanted him back and wanted to make sure that Wemby gets a good coach to start, right? And so I good for him. I guess he deserves it. So if he wants to keep coaching, he should. So
Absolutely. So, speaking, we touched on Tyler Hero really quick there. Little segue to the Dame trade that is going to happen, but might not ever happen either simultaneously, right? So I think it's inevitable that he goes to Miami. Other teams are basically being told by his agent that he does not want to play there, and if you're Dame, your agent is doing his job, right? But I also think, man, like this really sucks, like what some of these NBA trade requests have turned into. Now, I think Dame has every right to be in contention for an NBA championship every season. He should be on a capable team. I'm not debating that aspect. However, what I hate is when these players sign these extensions, regardless of where they're at in their contract, and then they not only make a trade request, but then they tell other teams in the league that they're not willing to play for them. And you're giving Portland one option, one trade partner in Miami.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if over time that might open up to other teams. Like it kind of reminds me of last year with Donovan Mitchell, right? Like, and the Knicks were in the running for trading for him, right? So everyone was coming up with these packages, what the Knicks could offer, just like they're coming up with like what the Heat can offer for him, right? And then the longer that went on without the trade actually happening, the more the two teams' front offices started really resenting each other. And that then eventually caused them to be open to other teams getting involved and talking to other teams. And, you know, there's another variable here of Dame Lillard potentially, you know, saying he won't play for any other team. But I think the the longer it goes on, he's going to see it more realistically and say like, oh, I could go to, Philly, or I could go to another somewhat competitive team and have the trade happen. So um, I think over time, if it keeps going on all summer, like that eventually will happen.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like, at least, because Joe Cronin, I listened in on that press conference, saw some of the highlights as well too. He said, if this takes months, it takes months. It doesn't seem like, at least from if you're reading someone's poker face, it doesn't seem like he's in a rush. He's going to wait for that great return, the best return that they can get as a team. And I commend him for the accountability that he took during that press conference as well too. He took accountability for not improving the team around Dame to build a championship contender. He's pretty much as honest as he can be regarding the situation right now without sacrificing even more leverage, right? But it reminds me a little bit, and maybe this is unfair, but it reminds me of the Washington Wizards and how it was handled with Beal. So Dame does not have a no trade clause, but this just feels like another scenario where like a team just they should have known that they weren't going anywhere anytime soon, and they could have traded Dame a year or two ago, and now it's like they're paying the price for Dame finally requesting that trade and just taking away any chance of them receiving a proper return.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. I don't really have any points to add to that. It's a bad situation for the team, and I mean they're just grasping at straws, trying to get the best they can in return at this point, and they don't have a lot of leverage now. So, um, yeah, we'll see. I mean, still think maybe Boston is an option, right? So,
I think that's going to be like the wildest outcome, right? If he actually goes to Boston, because he's been, at least, I'm not saying he said it directly, but the reports are saying that he claims he's not going to Boston. He has no interest going there. But could you imagine like Tatum and Dame, in the fourth quarters, along with every other, player they have in that roster? I mean, that's the most intriguing location for me. That would suck as a Sixers fan, obviously. And, you as a Knicks fan as well. That's not a fun matchup either. But no, like I agree with you. I mean, Boston can offer much more. Like Miami's trade package sucks. Like, let's just be honest about it. Right now, recent reports are suggesting that Miami is going to try to flip Tyler Hero for a first round pick or two, and then they can offer Portland anywhere in the ballpark of 3 to 5 first round picks, among other assets. Some cap has to go towards Portland as well, so maybe a Kyle Lowry on an expiring deal. But if I told you a year ago that the Portland Trailblazers would get 3 or 4 first round picks and Kyle Lowry in exchange for Dame, like that would look silly, right? So
I
to your
mean, it's
point,
silly
like
now, yeah.
yeah, I just don't understand like how this is going to get done. But on the other hand, no one else wants to trade for Dame now, given the circumstances, right? So Portland's probably going to have to settle, and that's why I said it just seems like they didn't see the writing on the wall that no free agent wants to come to Portland, and they're not going to build a contender easily around Dame within the next 3 years. A few years ago when they were looking at this.
Yeah, I mean Boston. The reason I mentioned Boston when we're talking about big trades is because they are, I'm sure, are considering trading Jaylen Brown, which you talked about before. So how it would look there would be Jaylen Brown for Dame, probably straight up or close to straight up, right? Probably he would then sign an extension. You know, he's made comments in the past about playing how Boston is a racist city. I kind of agree to a certain extent. Portland might be a little slightly less racist. Maybe he wants to move there, although that also is not great, to be honest. So, um, yeah. So, well, I'm interested to see what happens with Jaylen Brown. That, to me, I'm more interested in his situation than Dame Lillard at this point, I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen hasn't even signed that extension yet, right? And I'm just hearing maybe little rumbles that they're getting close. But what does that mean, right? If you're the Celtics, you had the entire season to prepare for this. If you're Jalen Brown, you see these other guys we spoke about last week, LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards. They're getting paid right now with their extensions. If I'm Jalen Brown, I'm like, all right, guys, what's going on?
And he's a lot more consistent than them, right? He's played all the games. He doesn't miss these massive amount of times consistently, at least that they do, right? So he's to me more proven than even they are. So
Absolutely. So I'm excited to see what happens with that, especially. But real quick before we move on from Dame here, I heard a rumor. So Bill Simmons on his podcast was a great episode. He was saying that he has the feeling, the insinuation that the Portland Trailblazers told Dame that they were looking to trade the third pick of the 2023 draft. And what happened was Portland on draft night was not expecting Scoot Henderson to fall to them. So instead of trading that
I
pick,
believe
they
that.
drafted Scoot, and they basically said, "Sorry, Dame, like this is our future. We have to take him here."
I totally believe that, right? Like I remember saying I would go Scoot second, right? Just I totally thought Brandon Miller's going to be a bust. I still do. If he was there, I totally would have tried to trade that pick. Um, but Scoot Henderson, I think is legit, man. Like he's going to be good. So um, in terms of like the draft decision, I think smart on their part, but now they put themselves in this tough trade spot. So um, I think you're right about Joe Cronin. He's doing a good job. I think he's in a really tough spot, but I don't think he's necessarily made any bad decisions so far. So
Yeah, I mean, I think Dame loves basketball. I don't foresee him sitting out if Portland retained him until December, January. But on the same end with that, like I don't know, how awkward that's going to be for Scoot. You're trying to build around Scoot at that point, trying to get him immersed into the offense, into the franchise. I'm not sure that keeping Dame around until January, when his trade value most likely skyrockets, I'm not sure if that's going to be great for Scoot. So I'm interested to see what happens with that, because right now it's like you should probably just get rid of Dame, take those picks that you can get, and kind of just move on. I don't think they have any other move at this point, honestly.
yeah, no, they're in a rebuild mode. They have some good young players. Trade them for Jaylen Brown.
There you go. Simple as that, right? Lastly, Pat, too, because we talked about this before. Like, so how can the NBA fix these types of trade requests? I'm not saying simply, hey, I want to be traded, I want out, like let me go somewhere else. But to the point where it's like I want to go to the A, B, or C, right? Like how can the NBA fix that? The only thing that I can think of is like if a player signs a max contract and he wants out, like they should have to pay towards a buyout or take less salary in some way, right? I know it's not a perfect formula, but what do you think can help fix this problem that's going on and becoming even stronger every season in the NBA?
Um, I mean, I don't really know if you can fix it outside of setting up some sort of, tyrannical authoritarian regime. um, I don't necessarily think they want to fix it either, right? Like it has all these podcasts, it has even us talking about it, all the time, right? It just expands the calendar year of the NBA. It expands the attention the NBA gets, right? They like it, right? If it starts impacting it too much to where they lose fans over it, right? Things like that. That's when you might start to see them consider something. What that looks like, uh, they're going to have to negotiate with the union what that looks like, right? So good luck to the NBA on doing anything. Um, so you can't really stop a person from refusing to play, right? Like if they don't want to play at all, that's on them. So
I got the solution as you were speaking. I figured it out. You put 10 teams in LA, 10 teams in New York, 10 teams in Miami, and maybe 5 in Phoenix. Easy enough, right? I don't know. I think down the road they're going to have to address this in the next CBA, which is, I mean, they already had to handle the Ben Simmons type situation, right? There's some verbiage in there about Ben
right,
Simmons.
right.
They don't mention him directly, obviously, right? But playing games and not sitting out due to bullshit injuries, that's kind of in the CBA now too. So I'm excited to see what happens. And
Interesting.
again, I think Dame deserves to be on a good team, but you can't just be like, hey, send me here or else, right? And that's what I hate about this trade request.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, then you need a no trade clause, right? So,
Right. Totally agree. Speaking of trades, James Harden. It looks like a trade is not
oh
occurring for
man.
him. I just saw a report about an hour ago saying that there has been no momentum with the
Oh,
Sixers and Clippers as far
okay.
as a trade. He's most likely returning to the Philadelphia 76ers.
Wow. I mean, I saw that he reiterated to the Sixers he wants a trade. I don't know, but not that was a little more longer than an hour ago, so maybe they maybe they had a discussion after he reiterated that and told him nobody wants you, man, so you're staying.
Yeah, I had no clue what to make of it, but I did read that the Clippers are not even offering Terrence Mann in a trade package. So if you're protecting Terrence Mann, and I look, he's a talented player, right? But he's not Dame Lillard, like right? Like let's not sugarcoat it. So if you're not offering Terrence Mann and withholding him in any trade conversation, I don't see how James Harden becomes a Clipper. Because if you're the Sixers, you don't want Marcus Morris Sr. and Nick Batum as the headliners of your return package, right? So yeah,
No,
I also
and
think Harden
yeah.
returns.
Yeah, no, you don't want that, and I don't think the Clippers really want James Harden either, with Kawhi and Paul George. So, um, yeah, it just doesn't make sense for him to go there. Like, I understand he wants to go there, but it doesn't make sense logistically. So,
Yeah, and Westbrook's back, as you brought up last week too. So I mean, not that they can't play together, but I don't see the Harden Westbrook 3.0 tour coming, right? So yeah, I said last week too. I predict that James Harden's going to be back. His market is not what he thought it was going to be, regardless of who is right or wrong between the Sixers brass and James Harden. So he's going to be in a Sixers uniform, and I would be shocked if that doesn't happen at this point.
yeah, no, I agree. Unless something else goes on trading wise around the league that then creates an opportunity that makes sense for both teams, that's always something you can't predict. But as of now, I totally agree with you. So.
And especially as the season goes on too, it's not somewhere where like Dame, for instance, if you kept him until December, January, you could see a desperate team, maybe they have a big injury that expected to have championship aspirations, they can go FOMO and go all in on Dame. But with Harden, he's a free agent next year. He can't re-sign an extension with a team since he opted into this final year. So it's not like you can just say, hey, here's 4 months of Harden, give me 5 first-round picks, right? It's not going to happen in that scenario. So we'll see what happens. Lastly, Pat, with the trade talks, and then we can get to some other fun stuff here. But Pascal Siakam, he's rumored to Atlanta, Indiana, and Orlando at this point. My question with the final team, the Orlando Magic, did Paolo Banchero retire out of nowhere? Like, was I watching too much Summer League and he retired after his rookie season? Because why on earth would you pair Pascal Siakam and Paolo Banchero?
I don't know. Maybe they want Banchero to play center, right? Maybe they want to go small and have that kind of team on the court. Um, so that's the only thing I could think. But uh, what does the trade look like? I guess for Siakam from Orlando, like
I
who?
haven't even heard anything. I mean, you
Uh,
would have to send out some expiring deals because Siakam's going to want that extension too, which I'm assuming is the reason why Toronto is trying to ship him at this point. I mean, maybe Franz Wagner goes back to Toronto. I'm not too sure. I'd have to look at the roster, but just the fit alone to me, I don't think either player is great defensively. I know Paolo is only in his second season, so he could improve in that area, but they kind of remind me of each other. I think Bankero's a little bit more athletic. I really do. I mean, I'm high on
huh?
Bankero. I will say that. So, like, I'm not saying that he's on the level as Pascal Siakam, but offensively, I feel like they have a similar game and that they can play inside out.
Wow. I mean, I guess. I mean, I kind of see Siakam as the more athletic one, right? If we're talking like raw speed, not to just disagree with you, but Banchero, I would almost comp him to Carmelo, to be honest. Maybe a little taller, but he has better ball handling and mid range. And like Siakam doesn't shoot from three. That he's a corner three shooter. That's about the only spot on the 3-point line that he has a decent percentage, I'm sure. Just watching him play, and um, he's skinnier too. Uh, he's also 30, right? So um, yeah, no. If I had to choose between the two, definitely choosing Banchero. Do I want them to play together? To your point, probably not. If I had any other options, probably not have them on the same team, right? Um, I don't know where Siakam goes. Maybe San Antonio or some place that just needs needs players at this Phoenix or something.
Right. No. San
Yeah.
Antonio would be pretty cool. I mean, San Antonio is just a great fit for many players right now. You have Popovich, you have Wemby, and then especially if you add Hero, I mean, just the, you know, put it out there. What if you had Hero, Siakam, and Wemby, right? I mean, you're probably not winning a championship in 2 years because Wemby has to grow. You have to give him some time. And I think that's ultimately why they would not get Pascal Siakam. You want Wemby to have those touches, but that would be a pretty dangerous roster, in a few years.
Yeah, I mean, it could be dangerous now. Who knows with this the alien is what they're calling them, right?
The alien.
Isn't
I
that
can't
his
wait. I
nickname?
can't wait to watch them next year. But yeah, Siakam, I think will be fun in Indiana as well. I mean, a Siakam Obi Toppin combo. Like, what about that?
I mean, that doesn't make sense either, right?
I
Like
don't
they're
think
good.
Obi's going to start there. That's where I think their heads at. Whether we think he's startable or not, I think if they get Siakam, Obi's coming off the bench playing 25 minutes.
Man, I would hate to see that. I mean, if he's playing 25 minutes a game, then that's more than he had in New York. So I guess that would work then.
Yeah, I think they could justify that too because they only gave up what 2 second rounders for him, so
Oh,
it wasn't a
yeah,
huge
yeah.
investment. I'm just saying, like if I'm like a GM, if I spend 2 first rounders on Obi Toppin, I'd have to start him, or else I look like an
Oh,
asshole, right? You know what I mean? So that's why I
no,
could
I
see
just
him
was
coming off
saying,
the bench.
yeah, no, it totally makes sense from the team perspective. I just am saying from the player's perspective, he was frustrated with getting 10 minutes a night and have being like the most efficient player in the league during those 10 minutes. And then, never, and then when Randall's out playing really well, scoring more than 20 points, a game and still being really efficient, still not getting playing time whenever Randall's around. So, um, that's why he's in Indiana. And I would hate to see him in the same situation with Siakam. So
No,
that's
that's
all
what
I'm
I'm
saying.
saying. It would be the
Yeah.
exact same situation, and then Obi Toppin's gonna pull Dame and say, "Send me here, so I know where I'm going,
I don't
please."
think he has the leverage Dave has, but maybe maybe he's being stifled. Who knows?
He's
Someone
gonna
should give him a
have that
chance. I'll
GM
say
send
that.
him a letter, a personal letter saying, "I'm not going to trade for any power forward for the next 3 years." That's going to be Obi Toppin. Real quick, Pat, before the fun begins. So Pat and I will be doing a fantasy NBA draft as if every franchise was starting all over again. So that's coming up. So Pat, you and I spoke about the most improved player odds a little bit too. The favorite is Michael Bridges, who I think should be the favorite, especially if he gets the All-Star nod this year. I think there's room for him on that roster if he averages the 25, 5-5, like he did for the Nets last year after he was traded. But I see a couple people that have some great odds here. So my sleeper, I think, would probably be Jabari Smith Jr. He's plus 3,500. I know the Rockets have a ton of mouths to feed, but he had back-to-back 30-point games in the summer league. He was the third overall pick just a year ago too. Ton of raw potential, and I honestly think that Kevin Porter Jr. or Jalen Green could be traded to midseason for some assets as well too. So opening some shot opportunities for him, but when you're looking at the most improved player odds board, like what's sticking out to you right now?
Yeah, no, I like that take, right? I agree. He's a really good player. He's going to improve next year for sure. But, things I think about, right? Who's really going to show people that they've improved? Like some of these players we're talking about already have played really well. for part of the season. Once they got opportunities, they're proven. So are they going to, even if they increase their output a little bit, are they then going to win the most improved award? It's not going to look as impressive as somebody who really steps up and makes the All-Star game for the first time, like, all that. So I'm going to throw like a different thought process out, I guess, right? If you're looking for a value pick right now, I'm thinking of like, okay, who maybe doesn't have the opportunities to put out more production right now, but with some of the speculation and trading we're talking about, who's going to have a situation that's going to open up and they have the opportunity to at least, not double their scoring or rebounds, whatever. And who I'm looking at is Scotty Barnes in Toronto, right? Especially if Siakam goes.
Great
Um,
pick.
Van Vliet is gone already. Um, what's his name? OG Anunoby's they're talking about trading too. Um, Scotty Barnes to me is going to benefit the most of the players on the team right now. Like he is a very solid, good player whenever I've seen him play. Um, I think if he gets more consistent minutes, uh, the guy, he does well in clutch time. Like he helps the team win. They're going to want him on the court, and I think that's part of why they're considering making all this trading because they believe in him. That would be my pick.
It's a great pick too, Pat, because he's plus 2,000. So
Yeah,
you put $100 on him, that's $2,000. So I think it's a great value pick right there. The only other name that really sticks out to me, I mean, so just to give you the examples, there's Michael Bridges. He's actually plus 700. Tyrese Maxey's plus 1,200. Cade Cunningham plus 1,300. Austin Reeves plus 1,400 as the fourth favorite. The other guy that I think stands out to me on this list, aside from Bridges, aside from Desmond Bain too. I think Desmond Bain is going to have a really good year with John Morant out for the first 25 games of the season, I believe. But the most interesting name, if I had one guy, is Jordan Poole. And I say that because he's going to have the green light in Washington. He's probably going to be able to shoot 20, 25 times a game if he wants to. The Achilles heel for me, as I'm thinking through this process, because I do believe Mike Hell becomes an all-star, and that plays a huge factor. We just saw that with Lauri Markkanen last year, right? That status of becoming an all-star. If Jordan Poole goes out there and averages 30 points a game, but the Wizards win 18 games on the season, is that going to matter in the voters' eyes?
I think maybe not that alone, but that combined with the fact that he had a previous year where he was very solid and productive already, when Steph Curry missed time, right? Um, I think, but if there was another player that was doing close to as good as him, they would give it to them over him. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. But, I think he's also plus 2,100. So that's great value there, too, if you think Jordan Poole is going to take over, right?
I mean, he's
Um,
probably the most sure thing between him and Mikal Bridges in terms of like who's for sure going to be an all-star. If you're going by that, if we're setting odds for who's going to be an all-star next year, I'm taking them too, right?
yeah, you think
Uh,
Poole's going to be an all-star? Like, I don't disagree with the numbers. I just think the narrative, right? And there's a ton of
well,
good
they
point
don't
guards.
really. I guess it's fan voting, right? Like he won't. I
Right.
don't think he'll be a starter, but I think he could
Be a
absolutely be a
reserve.
reserve based on his stats alone. Yeah.
Not disagreeing with you. I just think, and you'll like this, I think Jalen Brunson is an easy all-star next year, regardless if he's a starter or a
Oh
reserve.
man,
So if you're looking at the East point guards, it's going to be, uphill
yeah,
sledding for Jordan Poole.
that's true. I mean, he should have been last year, but I don't know who they're going to kick out. But yeah, he definitely deserves it. Brunson, that is.
Well, can't wait to see it, Pat. Let's get into the fun segment. I know I hit you up with this a little bit late in the afternoon. I'm like, let's do this, right? So, if you ever played NBA 2K, if you're starting the My League, and essentially you can just create the league however you want, right? Just think of it as just literally fantasy basketball inside of a video game. Well, you can do a fantasy draft, meaning that every team starts from scratch. You randomize the team order, and then you just draft round by round, right? So I asked Pat today, I'm like, well, the game kind of is a little skewed because it goes off of ratings, regardless of, the player's age, contract, and such. So I said, Pat, let's do a draft today where if the NBA started all over again, what would the order be? right? And if you look at the names that we came up with, drastically different than the video game, which you would expect, right? Reality versus virtual. So Pat, I'm not going to assign teams today. We're just, draft the top 30 players that we see going off the board, off the bat there. I'm going to let you get the first pick if
Oh,
you're up for it.
okay.
All right.
No, I am
And
up
then
for
we'll just
that.
we'll just switch off each time.
The
So
first
again,
pick is easy to me.
one round, 30 picks, and we can kind of argue, right? So probably gonna have some arguments here. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I like the idea. I mean, you threw it at me late in the day is right, but I'm ready. So,
I
um,
think you're on the clock.
are we including the what do you call throwback team players in
No,
this
no,
as
no.
well?
Just
Or
current
okay,
NBA. Current
current.
NBA.
Okay,
If you
okay,
had to start your franchise
okay.
and you have
So
the
I
number
can't
one pick.
pick like 1994 Michael Jordan. Yeah.
No, you can't. No,
Okay.
unfortunately, no. I mean,
Okay.
unless there's some sort of time machine invented within this fantasy draft,
I
then
mean,
sure.
there is
But
on 2K, right? But
all right, Pat. Let's just stick to the current. All
no,
right.
I'm going. I mean, I'm killing time on this one because to me the number one pick is so simple.
I
It's
don't think we're
Nikola.
gonna agree with this. I honestly think we're gonna disagree off the bat with this pick. So
That's
you can
you
go
can
ahead.
if you want. I mean, good luck arguing here, but Nikola Jokic is my first pick. The guy is going to fill, three positions on the team in one player. He's 27 years old. He's primed to win the next 10 championships. So, give me that guy. I like his attitude. Give me that guy all day.
I can't argue with you there. So like, this is not an argument when I bring these points up, right? Because I think Jokic is phenomenal. I'm just thinking if you're starting a franchise, ideally, you would want to build your team around your superstar, around your first round pick. But
Yeah.
the thought of that and the execution of that, I don't think are synonymous, right? So if you can get Jokic and build the rest of the team similar to how they're built right now in the Nuggets, I would say sure. But if I'm just starting from scratch and just have
Mhm.
my franchise beginning and I had to build around one player and I had to be confident in building around that player, he was not my number one pick.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, you're going to get whatever player you wanted then, I guess, but you're going to miss out on somebody who can pass. It might be the best passer in the league, who's going to be, he's already won multiple MVPs. Yeah, he should have won again this year. He decided to win the finals instead and the championship. Um, he doesn't rely on athleticism to win or for production. He's gonna,
That's a great point. I
you
mean,
know,
so he's what, 28, but you have some longevity opposed to
yeah,
drafting another 28-year-old. So I agree with that. Like I said,
shoots
you're not wrong in
threes.
this. It's just
Yeah,
different, trains of thought here.
yeah,
Um, but the guy that I had number one that I'm taking at number two here is Giannis,
yeah.
without a
That's
doubt.
the other. Absolutely, he's my number two, and I understand why you would say that. But let's hear. Yeah,
Yeah,
why
I
do you?
think they're the universal top two. Jokic is a much better offensive player. Like, there's no denying that. He passes like a point guard, but he plays like a center, but he shoots like a small forward. It's the most incredible thing I've ever seen offensively. If I didn't go Jokic, and I did not in this case, I would go Giannis, and it's just because he's also unstoppable on offense, even without a pure jump shot. And defensively, for me, that's what I focused on more. So I don't think Jokic is up to par as far as what Giannis can bring defensively. Giannis can cover 1 through 5. And my thought process is, well, like, if I had to just start from scratch like we are right now, like, I want to be able to say I got some guy who's a top 3 offensive player and then a top 3 defender. And I think Giannis is that, even without the jump shot. And it
Yeah,
also allows me to get a little bit more creative if I have to reach in later rounds.
yeah. I mean, I don't hate it. Obviously, Giannis is also an MVP winner, a great player. If I'm thinking long term though, right? He's not really a passer. If I'm building a team of top 30 players, I'm going to want them to work together also. Um, Giannis is ball dominant. He drives the lane and dominates physically. All right. How long is he going to hold up if we're talking franchise too, right? I'm still going with Jokic over 10 years over Giannis over 10 years. So
I love how this draft has us debating this, right? It makes it sound like, the other player sucks when it's not the case at all. Whose idea was this? Was this your idea,
I
Pat?
mean, Giannis can't shoot either, right? So
No, yeah, that's basically the only thing that he can't do. So
yeah,
like I said, I'm taking a guy that can defend all five
pass. He's not as
positions.
good a passer either.
No, but he can still pass. I mean, he had a few triple doubles. Jokic had a little bit more, right? Maybe like 50 more last season. But no, I mean, you're not wrong. I think those are the
Foul shooting,
undisputable
for free
top
throw
two.
shooting.
Yeah, no, I got you. Yeah, I just want a guy that I know on the defensive end is an anchor. Like I love him defensively.
That's where he got me.
So,
Yep, that's where he got
but
me defensively. Absolutely. Yep.
all right, Pat, you're on the clock. Number 3.
To me, this is a lot harder, right? I mean, there's one player that stands out to me, but I don't think he's really proven that he's a winner quite yet. Um, but sorry, I'm fixing this again. Yeah, I was saying I don't think he's really proven he's a winner yet. Going. So, are we thinking of this in terms of rounding out a team? Let's say. So, am I looking at filling the different positions, or am I just talking
Oh no,
about
this is independent, as if this was a separate team drafting right now.
okay? So I'm not like trying to put a okay.
This is your first pick of your franchise going forward. That's what makes this so interesting.
Give me Embiid next. Give me Joel Embiid. I know I'm going
Process.
2 centers in a row again. They're not playing together. This is a different team. If Jokic and Giannis are off the board, give me Embiid, the next most dominant player in terms of game management. Right, he's kind of throwback a bit with how he can score down low. Defensively, if you want to talk about a game changer, he does it effortlessly. Changes everyone's shots. That drives the lane. And he hits free throws. Can shoot a bit from mid range and outside sometimes. Yeah, I'll take Embiid.
I like it. Top 3 MVP vote getters. Top 3 in this fantasy draft.
I
So I
mean,
can't argue with that too. I would take Jokic and Giannis ahead of Embiid every day of the week, but Embiid is right there too, respectfully. And offensively, he can take over as well. Defensively, he's a magician on that end too. So I love that pick at 3. I think out of all the draft picks that I was looking at, all the draft positions, I think 3 was the toughest, and there's no wrong answer there between a few players, in my opinion.
yeah, it was between him and another player for me, but you might take him now. I don't know, so I don't want to ruin it.
So the guy that I'm glad that I can take at 4, if I'm a GM right now, like I'm thanking you, like because all the pressure is off me, honestly. I think the indisputable number 4 overall pick of this made up fantasy draft that we're taking way too serious is Luka Doncic.
Yeah, no, that's who I was considering taking otherwise. That's who I was saying. I don't know if he's really a winner quite yet, though. That was
That's the only thing, and
uh,
I kind of love that he's only 24 though. Like out of all the guys that we just named, he's 4 or 5 years younger than all of them combined. Well, not combined, you know what I mean. But yeah, I think Luka has so much more untapped potential that he can dive into. Also leaning on the hope that he pulls off a Kobe Bryant and starts losing some weight a little bit as well. What LeBron did too, because Luka has been out of shape for the past 4 years, and he needs to start taking his body seriously. But I think once he does that, I think the defensive game will have an uptick. I think he's a little bit lazy on defense now, so I'm hoping if I'm a GM right now, I have the next 10 years of Luka in his prime, I'd say, because I think he's already a great player, but also in great shape too. That's what I'm banking on.
yeah. I mean, it's a fair pick. Like you're kind of banking on some upside happening, though, right? So I'm banking on selling tickets and winning a championship in the next 5 years. So
I got you, man. All right, so we have Jokic, Giannis, Embiid, Luka off the board. Number 5, Pat.
I mean, I don't know if I want to take this into taking all the young players type of draft. I'm not going to take probably who I should because of biases a little bit. uh, Let's
This is
see.
for your job. You got to keep your job. So when you go to the owner tonight, you're gonna say, "Hey, I'm happy I drafted so and so." Who's it gonna be?
It's gonna be Kevin Durant.
I like that pick.
It's gonna
No,
it's
it's a good
gonna
pick.
it's got to be Kevin Durant. Yeah, at
I
this
mean, he's
pick. I mean,
34, but I mean, you have to take him within the top 7. I have him in my top 7 personally. You can't go wrong. You have the playoff experience. He's a killer in the fourth quarter. I think that's also a great trait to have when you're starting a team too. Many teams start out great the first 3 quarters and they kind of soil themselves in the fourth. So no, I like Kevin Durant a lot.
yeah, I mean, he's shown over his career he evolves his game to be consistently dominant offensively. Right? He figures out how to be better every year. I think he's going to do it again for the rest of his career. Complete faith in the guy. Um, so yeah, give me Durant for 5 more years. I'm totally fine with that. So
All right. Well, you just made my next pick very easy. I appreciate this, Pat. You're kind of setting me up.
I see why you made me go first now. It makes a lot
Oh
of sense.
yeah, because like now I know that I'm keeping my job no matter what. I had to go Jason Tatum right here at number 6, 25
That's
years old. He has that killer mentality too. He definitely can have some improvements, and shot quality has been an issue at points too. But when he shot, well, like maybe 3 for 18 against Philly in the first 3 quarters of game 5 or game 6, and he makes 4 threes in the final 4 minutes of the game. I mean, that's all that I need to see. Not that I didn't think he was a capable player up to that point, but like Jason Tatum is so fun to watch, and he's only 25. He has so much more experience to get and skills to add to his repertoire as well too. So give me Tatum all day, every day at 6.
Yeah, I mean that's who I refuse to pick, so I don't blame you for
I
taking
love
him.
it. Let's
But
keep it keep it
yeah,
keep it going,
I
Pat.
don't I
Hit
don't
me up
want any
next,
part of I don't want any part of Tatum. I hate your team so far, to be honest. I
dude.
know they're not playing together, but I hate every one of the 3 teams.
Dude, keep picking. Like, let me get Kawhi at like 29. Let's keep going with this. Yeah, give me Trey Young in the 4th round of the
Oh,
NBA
you could
draft.
have Trey Young if you last pick if you want. Go ahead.
There we go. All right, Pat. Number 7. Who you got?
Oh, number 7. Number 7. We're talking about a franchise. I number 7. I am going LeBron James at number 7. I know I'm only going to have him for 1 or 2 more years. Who knows, right? He could potentially play even longer, knowing this guy. Likes himself a lot, wants to win more championships. Um, but what I'm saying is my team is going to be very well positioned to not only then sign some free agents after this draft occurs, right? But then also draft or end up with his children. So, um, I'll make sure I sign him to a multi-year contract. So that's the only disclaimer I'll throw in. So that way, he'll have to bring his son to play with him rather than leaving the team. So
I don't even think I have LeBron in my top 14. Can I say that? My
you,
top
you could
14.
say you could say whatever you want. Yeah, I mean, are you? I guess how do you want to win in 5? Do you want to trust the process or do you want to win right away? You know.
I can't get on the LeBron train. Like I can't get with LeBron. I understand your points. I'm not saying you're wrong here, but he can't go in my top 10 of this fantasy draft since he's 38 years old. It just can't happen.
I I hear you.
Um,
I mean, I just put with the points I made. I mean, I put him
I
above.
understand. I
Uh,
can't do it, Pat. I can't do it. I hate that pick. I hate it. Um, but NBA 2K had him at number 6, just for reference, so they don't hate that pick on their end. Um,
I mean,
but
for
yeah,
for this year, probably, right? Yeah.
no, that was actually going forward for a franchise, like a franchise mode, honestly. So
Oh,
I just think it's too early for me. I can't take him top 15. I'm sorry if anyone out there wants to just throw fire at my window here, but I can't do it. I can't get on that train. It's disgusting. Let's move on.
and I'm not the biggest LeBron fan
No,
personally,
I know
right?
that was a big pick for you. You're showing some growth here.
I'm in
Um,
GM mode, man. I mean, I won't go as far as Tatum, but give me LeBron.
all right, we're moving on, Pat. My next guy, another easy pick, Pat. Like, I'm keeping my job. I don't have to be like you, waiting up every night, hoping I have a job the next day, checking my phone for text messages here. I like Devin Booker here at number 8. One of the easiest picks that I can make. And I might have some backlash on this one, but he's 26 years old, plenty of years left. He has some killer mentality. I know he hasn't won, a ton of games in the playoffs besides that one run against the Bucks, or towards the Bucks in the championship there. But too much untapped potential. He reminds me a little bit of Luka in the sense that there's so much more to see still.
Yeah, he does. He does remind me of Luca too. Yeah. Um, that's all I'll say.
Well, I love their rivalry. Like they're always talking so much crap to each other. So it's the best television, Luca and Booker.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're
But
both really skilled basketball players, right? Like at ball handling and distributing, and you know, um, taking the most efficient shot. At least when it comes to Booker, he's a great player, right? Is he somebody I want as the main player on my team, though? That's where I'm thinking in terms of round one of a franchise draft. I'm looking for the leader of the team, the superstar of the team, the person who's going to set the culture of winning, right? Um, so maybe they can develop into that, but I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I can't argue with that. I think if Devin Booker was 38 years old and had two sons that were coming into the league, maybe you would make that pick there. But I
I
was torn
mean,
between.
maybe if he is like the all-time leading scorer in NBA history too, that might help help me make the
But
pick too.
I don't know if that matters as much, Pat. No, I'm kidding.
Uh,
Yeah, but honestly, at that position, Pat, I was torn between Devin Booker and Steph Curry. So I'm curious to know who you're gonna go with at 8. I know Booker was 8. I'm sorry. This is for 9. Ninth overall pick.
yeah, I mean, Steph Curry is definitely there, right? How old is he now? He's 33, 34,
It's 35 actually. Yeah.
35. Yeah. To me, I think Steph Curry needs, to your point about Jokic, which I don't agree with. I think Steph Curry is a player that needs a solid team around him to get it to the next level, right? I don't think the way his game is, he's somebody that can single-handedly, get a team to the championship. This player hasn't really proven anything yet. However, meteoric rise happening next season, I'll say. And I think his team that he's on is going to make the playoffs and is going to shock a lot of people. And he's going to be the star of the team. His name is Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Wow, Shea in the top 10. I like that. I can't argue with that. Like, if I like the young guys in this. Like, I know I took a couple of older guys. I would have taken a couple older guys. Like Durant, like Curry already. We haven't taken him yet officially, but on my list, like I have a couple of the older guys, but for the most part, the young guys excite me in this.
Yeah, I mean they're exciting, right? I understand how you're thinking of building your team out. Like you're looking at like who's going to possibly develop into something even better, right? Um, that's what I'm looking at in this pick, at least. To me, I would take Shea, like the difference between Dame Lillard and Steph Curry to Gilgeous-Alexander is not as big as the difference from like LeBron to him, right? So um, yeah, give me Gilgeous-Alexander. He's 6'6". He's point guard. He's going to help the team win for sure. So I think I'm hoping I'll be validated on that next year. I mean, OKC with him and Josh Giddey and the guy they drafted last year that's now going to be a rookie, right? What's his name? The center. I can't think of his name right now, which is pissing me off. But suffice to say, they're going to be a good team. So
Oh yeah, Chet Holmgren. I'm sorry. I
Chet Holmgren. Yep.
Yep. You just cut out for a second on my end. But yeah, Chet Holmgren, he's really exciting. I think he has the second or third best odds to win Rookie of the Year, too. He's going to be awesome to watch. They have a really good young core there. And then I think it was Bill Simmons' podcast as well, too. Like, they have the most exciting 4 players under 25 in the league right now. If you could choose a canvas, you had to pick 4 players like that on a roster. Like, that's a pretty damn good roster. No, really good points by you. SGA, I love that pick. I had him at 13, so not far off from where I would have had him. I mentioned Steph Curry, so I'm going to take him at 10. I think that's an obvious pick on my end. It's just hard not to have him in the top 10 for me. If you don't mind, Pat, I'm going to go back to back and give you my number 11 because it might shock a ton of our viewers here.
Go ahead.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm going to go with, based on age, he's 21 years old, untapped potential, which I've been mentioning. I think he's going to be an 8-time plus All-Star throughout his career if he can figure out that last piece. And he has time. He's young, right? And I think he's going to really take the next step this year, probably average 28, 29, 30 points like SGA. And that is Mr. Anthony Edwards.
Wow. Okay. I mean, you surprised me at least.
It was sickening at first to take him before Donovan Mitchell, Anthony
I
Davis,
feel I
Kawhi.
feel a little nauseous. Yeah.
I know that's probably my pick, but I have to take. I mean, he's 21 years old. If I'm the GM right there at that position, I have to take him, and then I'm asking the owner for forgiveness there.
Hey, it's a risk, man. Now you're going to be checking your phone about your job. I'm still scrolling down to find
I'm
where he is
checking
on
it
this
right now,
list
and
I
I haven't even
got
made the pick.
here.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, I get it. He was in that movie that was shot in Philly, right? He was that Adam Sandler movie. So, I mean, now you're making my job easier, right?
There you go. Yeah. Let's round out the top 16,
Uh,
Pat, because I think after that it kind of gets murky there. But we'll go 16 players, so we're 10 deep now. Or no, we're sorry, we
yeah.
are what 11 deep now. So who do you have for your 12th pick?
12th pick, give me John Morant.
Ooh, okay.
I mean, I know he's going around flashing guns everywhere. I know he's, he's suspended to start the year next year. Give me him anyway. When he's on the court, Memphis, at some points looks like the best team in the league. The guy is generational talent if he can stay on the court. So I'll take that risk. Give me John Morant.
I like that. Okay, I can't argue with that there. Getting Ja 12 is great value. At 13, I think I'm going to take Donovan Mitchell. First team All NBA last year. His rise was meteoric. Sorry, as you noted earlier with another player too. I was not expecting that either. I thought he was overrated for many years and just didn't have that in him. And then last year was enough for me. I want to see him win some playoff games, win some playoff series, but give me him, Donovan Mitchell at 13. I'm feeling good about that.
Yeah, no, I'm a Donovan Mitchell fan. Yeah, he gives his full effort every game. Just as talented offensively, if not more, than Booker or what's the other guy's name? Luka Doncic.
Oh my gosh, here we
So,
go.
but he plays harder than either of them, I think. The reason why they lost in the playoffs was certainly not his fault in Cleveland. He tried to will them to win, but I guess he's not Jimmy Butler esque. So,
Gosh, all right. Yeah. See, Pat. See if you can find any other 38-year-old players there. What about Brooke Lopez? You taking him 14
so
here? Who do you
I'm
got at
not
14?
touching. No, Brooke Lopez is not in my top 30. No, but 38-year-olds wise, I mean, yeah, I mean, uh, give me Kawhi Leonard.
I like
Yeah,
Kawhi. I have
give
the
me Kawhi
same.
Leonard.
I have the same. I love that pick. You have to, right? Plays both ends. I know the injury history is a concern. That's what I was going through, but why are you picking him there?
I mean, just alone for what he did in Toronto that year, right? He brought them to win a championship. Um, the guy plays the right way. He does everything well. Yeah, to me, I'm again looking at the players that are going to give me the best chance of winning is all I'm thinking about. So
Love it, man. No, I love that pick. To round out, let's see, the final pick of the draft here. I think I'm gonna go. I feel like I have to. I don't love this pick, I'll be honest with you, but considering the tier that I'm in now, I could go a multitude of ways, but I feel like I have to go either Dame or Anthony Davis. And Davis provides the defensive end for me. I'm not worried about him on that side of the court, but I am worried about him being on the court, which is another argument that you can make for Dame, right? But me, I value offense and defense. Dame is too much of a liability for me defensively. I have to take Anthony Davis there.
Wow. Wow. that's a little.
With Dame probably right behind, but I have to. I can't. It's disgusting. But I have to.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a wild pick. If you're basing it on his time in New Orleans all day, give me that guy. If you're basing it on his past few years in LA, I don't want any part of him. So I guess you're having hope that he's again somebody that's going to have some upside. So
I like this, Pat. We should do this more often so we can kind of throw haymakers at each other there.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you asked me to, so I'm getting into it.
No, I love it. So, Pat, I appreciate you hopping on here, brother. That is
Give me
the
one
end of
more
the
pick.
episode.
Give me one more pick.
You want one more?
I
All
want
right,
one more
go ahead.
pick. Give
All right.
me Zion Williamson for my last pick
Oh
to
my
start a
gosh! All
tamer.
right, that's the end of the episode, guys. Thanks for tuning in here. Really appreciate it, Pat. I wish I could say the same. No, I appreciate you coming on, Zion. Jesus Christ, Pat. Thanks for coming on here, brother. We will be back next week. Hopefully, at that point, we have a Dame trade or some sort of trade happening instead of all these rumors there. But to our listeners, I really appreciate it. We're going to be on Apple Podcasts hopefully by Thursday or Friday this week, and then we'll be good to go there. But Pat, again, thanks. I'll talk to you next week, brother.
Dope. Thanks everyone. Talk to you then, Brian. See ya.
See you guys.